All right, so what we need to do is get back into our terminal, and I'm going to open up a new tab and zoom in for you guys. There we go. We're going to go back one directory, and then we're going to npm install g loopback-cli, and this will give us the loopback commands that we can create our server and our models. We're not going to need too many models. It's just going to be, the user accounts, obviously, and we're going to need a thread model and a message model. And I think that's it, actually. So this is building, and it's built already. So let's go ahead and run lb. And we're going to create the new application, which is chat server. That's fine. We will use 3. Let's leave it at API server. And this is going to create and install all of the required dependencies. And it's going to create a directory. And that was actually really quick. So now let's cd into chat server. It's ls this, and so now let's create our models. So lb model thread. We'll use the existing data source. We'll use persisted model, and all right, so we're going to need, well, when we think about threads, really there's only a few properties that we need. It would be helpful to have a last updated. So last updated is going to be a date. Users is going to be an array. We'll store the users as an array. And then I think that's it, really. We'll add more properties as we need them. And then lb model message. We're also going to use the default data source for now. We'll use persisted model and just yes to everything else. And now the property name, we're going to set content equal to string, date equal to date, and seen by is going to be an object. And that's it. So now I'm going to add a workspace folder. It's going to be chat server. And for right now, we don't need to do anything else. What we will do, though, is in server, we'll create a new file called chatserver.js. And similar to how we imported the models before when I was talking about creating data and whatnot, we're going to set models as a variable equal to require server.js .models. Now let's save this. And now in our terminal, we're going to run npm install ws. And I think that's all we really need. And then in our chat server file, we'll set const web. Actually, let's do this up at the top here. Const web socket equals require ws. And then we've got our models, and I think that's good. So what we will do now is actually create the connection function. which all we need to do is, well, to actually instantiate the server, const ws equals new WebSocket dot server, and we will specify the port as 8080. And now here's where it gets fun. We're going to say ws on, and it's a function. We'll say connection. We'll capture the message, and we will, for right now, let's console log got message with message. Now let's save this. And what we need to do is inside of our terminal here, I'm going to clear this. We're going to run node chat server.js. It says module not found. Can we run our actual server? Okay, it says address in use. Okay, so I actually have something using this. I'm going to have to find it. Give me a sec. Oh, actually, no. I was just looking at this and it's trying to use port 3000, which our React app is using. So inside of server.js, where it says app listen, we're going to change this to 8080. And then we'll try running our server again. Okay, so we've got that running now. So now let's run node server / chat server.js. And it's running our boot scripts. And I'm going to assume that it's already connected. So what we'll do is we'll refresh this, and then in our terminal, we get this printed out. And we no longer have an error here. So if I go to inspect the app, we'll see that the socket is now a WebSocket object. So it has successfully connected. Now, what we can do is now that we have it connected to an actual server, we can start sending messages. And the way that we send messages is well, basically, actually, okay, so I need to fix one thing. Where is this? Chat server. All right, so on connection, we're actually not getting the message yet. We'll say, we inherit the WebSocket object. And then, okay, so let's do this. WS on message. So when a message is sent to the chat server, we'll capture the message, and we'll console log got message. All right. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate basically how this works is in the app.js, actually, we'll create a button. So button on click, we'll say e.prevent default. And if this.props.socket, we'll say this.props.socket.send. And we will send an object with type equals hello and data equals world. And we'll label the button as send message. And I think that's really all we need to be able to see how this is going to work. So what we're going to do is, okay, we've got this here. If I open up Terminal, I need to restart the chat server. Now, where it was down and then back up, this is no longer connected. Page here, and I'm going to hit send message. And when I do, in the terminal on the left, we will see got message. Now, this by itself is not very amazing. In app, what I'm going to do is when we actually send that message, I'm going to run json.stringify on it. And we're always going to stringify our messages that we send so that in chat server, we can run JSON parse. And we can actually have access to a usable JSON object. So I'm going to save this. Back in terminal, I'm going to restart. And then in my React application, now when I hit send message, we will see that we have a now readable message that we can use within the chat server. Now, one of the benefits of using a socket connection between that and using kind of an old school HTTP requests is that when you have an example like we built before, like a regular API server, when you send a message to the server, it's kind of like ping pong. You ping the server, you get a pong back, and that's it. That's the length of the life of that connection. But with a WebSocket, we are currently still connected. And what this means is that the server can send the client data whenever it wants to or whenever it deems necessary to. So if we have multiple connected clients, I can send a message from my client to the server, and the server will be able to figure out who it needs to send that message to back. So it will message all appropriate clients. And that's what we're going to start getting into in the next video.